let's get straight to the point. You're in danger, and you don't even know it. No, it's not an external threat, not a government conspiracy, nor a war you can see. It's something much worse. It's you, yourself, every time you open your mouth without thinking.
Every time you flaunt your achievements, your plans, your wounds, your dreams, you're digging your own grave with pretty words, with posts full of pride, with confessions disguised as bravery. They're watching you. And I'm not talking about your friends, or your followers, or those people who like your posts on social media. I mean the silent ones. Those who don't comment, don't react, don't warn. Those who jot down in a mental notebook everything you say and how you say it. Those who smile while you emotionally undress, believing you're creating connection. They don't want to know you. They want to use what you show. And you make it easy because you're programmed to do so. Because you were taught that opening up is synonymous with being authentic, that showing your weaknesses is being human, that talking about your achievements is motivating. Lies. Pure facade. In this world, no one is really interested in your victories. They are interested in how to use them against you, because every word you utter without strategy is a clue, and every clue brings them closer to you, to your core, to your essence, to your weak spot. You're revealing your source code without realizing it. And do you know what happens when someone has access to your code? They can reprogram you. They can destroy you from within. People don't attack what they don't know, and you're making their job easier. With every post, with every venting, with every emotional phrase shared at a moment of weakness, you're teaching them how to break you. And the creepiest part? You do it out of necessity. The need for validation, for approval, to feel seen. The need to believe someone cares. But there's something you don't understand, something painful when you digest it. While you seek love, others seek opportunities. And you are one. We live surrounded by predators dressed as friends, smiles that hide daggers, listeners who don't want to help you, they want to study you. And the more you talk, the more they know. The more you show, the less you have. Because the soul also wears out when exposed without measure, and you're leaving it overdrawn. Want to know why you don't move forward? Why your plans fall apart? Because you talk about them. Because you share them. Because you contaminate them with the energy of those who envy you in silence. They kill you without touching you, just watching. Because observation is the most dangerous weapon when you display yourself like an open book. You don't need enemies if you give them all the instructions yourself. Machiavelli said it with precise cruelty. He who shows too much loses. And loses not because others are better, but because others wait. They watch. They feed on your transparency. And you don't realize it because you believe being clear is being strong. Number clarity is a luxury that only those who already master the shadows can afford. True power hides. True power does not shout, does not expose itself, does not seek attention. It moves silently, lets others doubt, be confused. True power is mystery. And you, what are you right now? A mystery? Or an emotional showcase anyone can read in 5 minutes? Are you a presence that unsettles by its silence? Or a voice that tires by its need to be heard? Because if you're in the second group, you've already lost. They have deciphered you. They have labeled you. And the worst, you no longer inspire fear. And when you don't inspire fear, you're exposed to the worst of the human world. Contempt. Because only what is completely understood is despised. What doesn't surprise, what no longer has layers to discover. Want to respect yourself again? Learn to be silent. Learn to keep. Learn to observe more than you reveal. Because he who is silent controls. And he who controls survives. It's not cowardice, it's strategy. It's not shyness, it's mastery. Silence is the tool of those who truly play the long game. Do you think great conquerors talked about their next moves? That the strategists of history shared their vulnerabilities with the world? Never. They showed themselves invincible, even in their worst moments. Not out of pride, out of survival, because they knew that showing the wound is inviting the blow. But you do the opposite. You show your soul hoping for empathy, and you receive stabs disguised as advice. It's not your fault. You've been conditioned. You've been made to believe that exposure is authenticity, that showing everything is evolving. But no, constant exposure is strategic suicide, because the human being is not designed to process the complete truth of another without contaminating it with their own misery. They will judge you, they will envy you, they will imitate you, they will betray you, and then they will say it was you who showed too much. Because that's how the world works. First they ask you to show, and when you do, they mock what they see. They applaud you as you rise and spit on you when you fall. Not out of malice, but out of instinct. It's their way to protect themselves from the mirror you represent. Because when you talk about your achievements, they feel like failures. When you talk about your wounds, they feel superior. But in no case do they feel real empathy. Only reaction, only calculation, only opportunity. And you surrender as if they understood you. They don't. They never will. Not while you keep showing more than you should. The strategy isn't in speaking better. It's in knowing when not to say anything. In knowing what to keep, what to postpone, what to leave in the shadows. Because only like this is lasting respect built. From mystery, from uncertainty, from that feeling of being indecipherable. That's where true fear resides. Real respect doesn't come from love. It comes from fear. And fear comes from what cannot be controlled. And nothing is more uncontrollable than someone who masters silence, who observes without being seen, who moves pieces without announcing the move. Want to be remembered? Then erase your digital footprint. Be smoke, be echo, be shadow. Let them talk about you without knowing if you exist. Let them doubt if you're still in the game. Let your enemies wonder what you're planning while you're already 2 moves ahead. That's how you dominate, not through noise, but through absolute self-control. Because he who controls himself controls others. And the first step is to shut your mouth. Stop sharing. Stop explaining. Stop justifying. Stop seeking approval in a world that only values what it cannot understand. Mystery is not a pose. It's a shield. It's a declaration of power. And you decide if you want to keep being an open map or become a labyrinth with no way out. Choose now. Because every word you say too much is a bullet someone will use against you. And when the shot comes, don't say I didn't warn you. And here is where most people fall without even stumbling, in the illusion of emotional transparency as a form of connection. That modern idea, polished, sold in self-help books and motivational reels that repeat opening up is healing and showing yourself as you are, is bravery. Bravery? Don't confuse courage with recklessness. Don't confuse healing with undressing yourself in front of an audience with no clean intentions. Because there's something no one has told you. The more emotional you are in public, the more manipulable you become. The more accessible you seem, the easier it is to infiltrate your system. Public vulnerability is a trap disguised as authenticity. And no, it's not about repressing your emotions. It's about protecting them, shielding them. Because your emotions aren't for public consumption, they're for your internal strategy. They're your keys, your codes, your most intimate file. Every time you tell a defeat, a trauma, a frustration, you're giving away a part of yourself you'll never get back. Not to just anyone, not to those who have proven loyalty, but to an ocean of unknown listeners, some of whom wish you harm for no reason. And you? You do it with a smile, believing that makes you more human. Number, it makes you more vulnerable to attack. And do you know what the real problem is? The more you share, the more you believe you need to keep sharing. It's an addiction. Like any drug, at first it seems liberating. But soon, silence starts to bother you. You start feeling that if you don't speak, you don't exist. That if you don't post, you disappear. That if you don't explain your version, others will invent one for you. But here's the secret. Let them invent. Let them talk. Let them speculate. Because while they waste time trying to understand you, you're creating, planning, growing. He who is silent does not disappear, he multiplies in silence. The mistake is wanting to correct others' perception. Thinking you have to explain yourself, so you won't be misunderstood. Stop trying to control what they think of you. Control what you do. Because those who really matter aren't trying to understand you, they're watching if you act coherently. And those who don't matter, well, they will live creating versions of you you don't even recognize. Let them. Every word you use to clarify yourself is wasted energy. Every explanation you give is one less brick in your fortress. Now, let's talk about control. Because this isn't just about protecting your interior, it's about mastering the exterior without showing your cards. And here comes a concept lost in modern noise: selective invisibility. Yes, you heard that right. Disappearing on purpose, being present without leaving a trace, participating without exposure. We live in a world obsessed with being seen. Everyone wants attention, everyone screams, everyone opines. Do you know what happens when everyone makes noise? The one who keeps silent becomes a monster, an enigma, a walking question mark. And there's nothing more powerful than that, because mystery not only protects, it intimidates, it provokes, it disconcerts. It makes others project their fears onto you. While you stay silent, others start talking for you, building an image of you they can't verify but can't ignore either. You become an echo nobody knows where it comes from or where it goes. And that uncertainty is lethal because the human brain can't handle the unknown. It needs to define, classify, control. If they can't label you, you create anxiety, and that anxiety becomes respect. And what is respect, after all, but a refined form of fear? Those who rule the world aren't the ones who talk the most, but those who know exactly when to shut up and when to appear. Because disappearing is also strategy. It's a tactical retreat. It's not absence, it's accumulation, it's incubation. But most don't understand it. They live desperate for presence, for permanence, as if being forgotten were worse than being destroyed. And yet, the forgotten always come back stronger than the overexposed. Real power is the one who disappears just when they are most expected. Have you realized how many times you regretted speaking? How many times you said more than you should, out of impulse, anxiety, or the need to please? Now remember, how many times have you regretted staying silent? Few, almost none, because silence never betrays, never leaks, never gets used against you, because silence leaves no evidence, no cracks. It is the only impregnable defense, the only barrier that cannot be crossed without your permission. And here comes the next level of this game: observation. Because it's not enough to be silent. You have to watch, observe, study. While others expose, you collect data. While they shout their emotions, you take notes. You learn their patterns, weaknesses, inconsistencies. Silence gives you advantage not only because it protects you, but because it turns you into a receiver of privileged information. Those who talk a lot reveal more than they think. Those who listen well rule without raising their voice. And we're not talking paranoia, we're talking precision, emotional intelligence at the highest level, becoming a strategist of your environment. Because living isn't just existing, it's maneuvering. And those who maneuver well understand one basic thing: everything you say can and will be used against you. Not by everyone, but by those who smile at you while planning your fall. Want a brutal piece of advice? Never say what hurts you. Never. Not as a joke, not as venting, because even if the other seems understanding, their subconscious has taken note. And someday, in the middle of an argument, or when you least expect it, they will use that wound as a scalpel. And it will hurt. Not because of the blow, but because you were the one who handed over the weapon. Don't talk about your fears with those who haven't shown control over theirs. Don't tell your plans to those who haven't built their own. Don't show your triumphs to those who haven't celebrated theirs without comparing themselves to you. Silence, discretion, calculated movement. That's what separates survivors from rulers. Survivors dodge bullets. Rulers make sure no one dares to shoot them. And do you know how that's achieved? Not by force, not by charisma, by mystery, by control, by mastering the art of being not completely decodable. Being unreadable is not a flaw, it's a tactic. Because what is not understood is not attacked head-on, it's only observed. And while they observe you, you keep moving, silently, relentlessly, invulnerable. And while you advance in silence, something fascinating begins to happen. Your absence starts weighing more than the presence of others. Because when someone bursts into every space constantly, they become common. Background noise. But when you decide to appear only when necessary, every word, every gesture, every presence of yours gains specific weight. It becomes an event, an anomaly, something unexpected. And that's why it impacts. Rarity is power. Scarcity builds value. Just as a jewel is worth more the harder it is to find, your influence grows in the same proportion as you reduce your exposure. Because the more you reserve yourself, the more you feed the myth. And here we come to one of the most underestimated psychological weapons of the modern world: ambiguity. The art of not being completely clear, of not defining yourself 100%, of not giving away certainties, because certainties soothe. But ambiguity unsettles, forces people to think, to question, to watch you more closely. He who leaves doubts generates obsession. He who always explains ends up being ignored. Because there's no mystery in the obvious, no tension in the predictable, no respect in what is revealed without struggle. The most feared leaders in history weren't the loudest, they were the most impenetrable. Those who, even when they spoke, seemed to hide something more. Because the human mind fears what it can't anticipate. And you don't need to be aggressive, brutal, or cruel to provoke fear. You just need to be impenetrable. That they don't know if you smile out of courtesy or irony. That they don't know if you agree or if you're silently analyzing their stupidity. Strategic ambiguity turns you into a mirror. And when someone can't read what you think, the only thing they see reflected is themselves. And that, my friend, terrifies more than any explicit threat. Do you know why they look for you when you step away? Because they start inventing you. Because they fill your silence with their imagination. Because your absence leaves an uncomfortable gap that forces them to think about you more than they would if you were always present. That is the effect of well-dosed silence. It generates presence even when you're not there. And that's the paradox of invisible power. It's felt, but can't be touched. It's sensed, but can't be decoded. The world is so used to information overload that when it finds someone who doesn't verbally undress themselves, it gets disoriented. It doesn't know how to act, because it can't use what it doesn't know. It can't attack what it doesn't see. It can't anticipate what's not announced. In a world that rewards immediacy, you become an anachronism, a dangerous anomaly, a walking enigma. And that is irresistible, because in an age where everyone talks, he who is silent becomes a legend. But here comes an even more perverse and real dimension: simulation. Because if you decide to speak, do it with design. Let it be theater. Let it be a script. Don't improvise your soul. Don't let them discover you by accident. If you're going to say something, let it be a mask. Let what you tell be a manipulated truth, an incomplete truth, or a harmless truth. Never the core, never the real plan. Because when the enemy believes they've understood you, they lower their guard. And that's exactly when you win. Human psychology has a monumental flaw. It assumes that if it knows a part, it already masters the whole. If you show 5% of yourself, many will believe they know everything. Why? Because they're desperate to fill the gaps. They can't stand the void. Uncertainty angers them. And you can use that to your advantage. Give them crumbs. Give them a false image of closeness. Make them believe they have you close when in reality you're miles away mentally. The most sophisticated control is the one that goes unnoticed. And you can be kind, you can be warm, you can even seem fragile, while inside you're calculating, observing, memorizing. Because the best mask isn't the villains, it's the naives. Nobody fears the naive. But when the naive reveals himself as a strategist, it's too late to defend. And here comes the toughest part. You can't have real power if you don't master your impulses, especially the impulse to speak, to explain, to be understood. Because that need to be understood is a brutal emotional weakness, a black hole that makes you a slave to others' judgment. And the most dangerous thing is you don't even notice. You go through life trying to make others know who you really are. For what? What do you think they will do with that information? Respect you more? Take care of you more? Number. They will use it to fit you into a comfortable category, to stop thinking about you. Because when they understand you, they simplify you. And what is simplified loses interest. And what loses interest gets discarded. The only way to stay relevant, untouchable, respected is to be inscrutable. That every time they think they know you, they discover a new layer. That when they talk about you, they never agree. That they don't know if you're an ally or a threat, if you're close or about to leave, if you're sincere or acting. That permanent tension is a force field, and only those who learn to live in that gray area survive the power game we all play, even if we don't. Admit it. Want to know who really wins in this life? Not the one who shouts the loudest, not the one who collects applause. The one who wins is the one who doesn't need validation to move. The one who can act in complete solitude without feeling like they dissolve. The one who can be forgotten and still keep building as if everyone were watching. That level of detachment is not coldness, it's freedom. It's the highest point of self-control. And it's right there, when you no longer need to be understood, when you no longer depend on any external reflection, that you start being truly indestructible. Not because they can't touch you, but because they can't reach you. Because what is not revealed cannot be destroyed. What is not explained cannot be contradicted. What is not said cannot be distorted. And in that terrain, you become what everyone fears, a formless presence, a faceless force, a will without a map. And that's when you really reign, from the shadow, from the silence, from the mystery, from power. And just when they think they have you figured out, you do something unexpected. You disappear. Not with drama, not with an announcement. Simply, you leave. No explanations, no closures, no final messages. And at that moment, everyone who believed they had you under control is left naked, wondering if they ever understood anything about you. That, exactly that, is the greatest act of power you can execute today. It's not winning an argument, it's not impressing with numbers, it's not shouting louder, it's leaving when everyone expects you to stay. It's closing the door with an echo. It's leaving such a well-built void that no one can fill it. And while you withdraw into silence, the world keeps talking, keeps speculating, keeps filling the gaps with theories, with versions, with myths. And without you saying a single word more, your presence keeps growing. Because in the era of overexposure, whoever learns to disappear becomes immortal. When they can't find you, you become legend. When you no longer speak, your last word echoes 1,000 times more in the minds still trying to understand you. Because there's a brutal truth few accept. He who disappears in time is not forgotten, he is revered. And now that we've made it this far, before we continue, I want to present the following to you. Our book, The Formula of Awakening, is now available. Do you feel like there's something inside you that wants to awaken, but you don't know where to start? Then I invite you to transform your way of thinking, and with it, your way of living. Discover who you can become. Start today. The link to get the ebook is in the first pinned comment of this video. Grab your copy now at a great price. With that said, let's continue with the video. Now, listen carefully. This is not a call to isolation. I'm not telling you to run from the world, nor to lock yourself in a marble tower to avoid being touched. I'm telling you to master your presence, to manage your visibility like a sacred bank account, to not speak to be understood, but to be heard only when you decide, to not show yourself out of need, but out of strategy, because every second you're exposed, you're giving away a part of yourself. And when you realize how much you've given, it's already too late. The wisest know that silence is not absence, it is accumulation of strength. That not speaking doesn't mean having nothing to say, it means knowing the exact moment when every word is a shot. That not showing up doesn't mean hiding, it means positioning yourself on another level, one where no one can reach you without your permission. That's how new power works. Silent, cold, patient, calculated. A power that is not shouted, it imposes. And if you've made it this far, if you resisted the temptation to scroll, to switch, to get distracted, it means there's something inside you that already suspected it, that already felt it. An ancient intuition telling you that talking so much was emptying you, that showing everything was not courage, but naivety. And now, you can't go back. Because when you understand the cost of exposure, your soul becomes more selective. And when you taste strategic silence, others' noise becomes unbearable. So now it's your turn to decide. Do you want to keep being part of the human showcase, selling fragments of yourself for likes that are forgotten in 2 days? Or do you want to build something real, silent, eternal, impenetrable? Because there are only 2 types of people in this game: those who show themselves and those who command. Leave me a phrase in the comments if you made it to the end. Only those who understand the weight of silence will do it. Write it without explaining anything else, just this: he who observes commands. If you see it out there, you'll know you're among those who have awakened. And before I go, if I still am here, I'll ask just one thing. Subscribe. Not to add a number. Subscribe because here we don't come to entertain the mind. We come to dismantle it. And believe me, what comes next will make everything you've heard so far sound like a whisper. Get ready. I disappear, but I keep watching.